When I told my mom, I think I'm going to be a florist, she was like, what are you talking about? Are you selling flowers like on the side of the road? You know, like how are you going to pay your bills?
I'm Sujean, and this is Alchemy Social, a podcast about the magic of in-person experiences. Today I sit down with Karla Smith-Brown, a floral designer known for dazzling arrangements that are wild yet refined. Her studio, OLIVEE Floral, has a hugely impressive client list, and she has a floral residency at the acclaimed restaurant Tatiana by Chef Kwame at Lincoln Center.
I did this Halloween dinner for Sam Smith. It was like a Nicole Kidman themed.
Did you just go knock on their door? Having never worked in flowers before.
I'm just going to bet on myself. I don't really know. I'm just going to try to learn as much as I can.
I'm obsessed with flowers.
Flowers innately change your mood, boost your mood, help with mental health. Like it forces you to be present because they're so like it's fleeting.
Can you tell me about the science behind floral arrangements?
It is my job to bring the earth back to people's lives.
We're going to come back to that because I do want a few tips.
I like my work to kind of draw people closer, like take a closer look, you know, squeeze it a little. Like it's fun. It should feel immersive.
The last time we officially collaborated was when we were colleagues at Milk Bar, which I think for both of us was a very different life chapter. It's really amazing to fast forward. I'm so glad you're here. Hit subscribe so we can stay connected, and let's dive into this conversation of Alchemy Social. Hi, Karla.
Hello.
As you can tell, I am obsessed with flowers. You are the only guest so far who has gotten a prop.
I love that.
These are actually from my garden.
Oh, wow.
I'm very proud. Flowers are such a beautiful part of the decor, as evidenced by this peony. I would love to hear when you realized that flowers could be your career and an actual form of creative expression.
That's a great question. I was working in PR and marketing for quite a bit of time. And after a while, just in that grind, I was getting burnt out and thinking there must be more, you know? And I knew that I wanted to kind of do something that used my hands more. That was actually my starting point. So when I was reflecting on what brings me joy, it made me think of growing up gardening with my aunt. And I was noticing on Instagram, there were so many florists changing the way that flowers are used to create art rather than just like a piece that you see at a funeral or a wedding. So I was really curious and inspired by that. And I got a job at a flower shop.
Cool.
The flower shop was the best thing I could have done. I learned so much. They wouldn't let me design at the flower shop. But I got to process flowers, learn the names of flowers, help customers.
How did that happen? Did you just go knock on their door, send them a cold email?
Pretty much. It was around Valentine's Day. So I was just going through to different flower shops, like, hey, do you need an extra hand? And they're like, yeah, actually we do. Come in tomorrow.
Wow. Having never worked in flowers before.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I just took the leap into it. And through that, the doors just opened because I saw that there's so many different ways of working in this industry. You can have a shop. I ended up meeting a set designer at that shop and then later working for her. So I realized actually this is a very big industry with so much opportunity. So even when I told my mom, like, yeah, I think I'm going to be a florist, she was like, what are you talking about? She was like, are you selling flowers like on the side of the road? You know? She was like, how are you going to pay your bills? You know?
Yes.
But I've learned so much and realized that there's like a whole world in this industry.
How difficult was it in that moment of deciding to cold call or literally knock on flower shops' doors to get to that point? Because that's a significant departure from a successful career that you've built in PR and communications prior to that.
Right.
Was it difficult?
I just dove in headfirst. I took a floral design class before quitting my job. And I'm like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. I'm just going to bet on myself. I don't really know. I'm just going to try to learn as much as I can. So that's why I was wanting to work with other more established florists. I would do pop-ups like at least once a month and people would start coming. And I was like building my client base, which I didn't even realize, but that led to so many other opportunities afterwards.
Wow. When you were younger, were flowers an important part of your surroundings or something that you always thought that you gravitated towards?
Yeah, I would garden a lot. like with my aunt. And then after college, I started my own garden at my mom's house. Like I just took over her outside garden because I felt like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, after college, you're supposed to have it all figured out. And I didn't feel like I had it all figured out.
Yeah, I'm still figuring it out.
Right. Why do we put that much pressure on young people like that? So the things that I was able to control was like growing vegetables and flowers in my mother's garden. So cool. That brought me so much satisfaction. Also, I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. Like my first business, I was 15. I started a natural fruit juice business in Toronto.
No way.
And when I was 18, me and my best friend started a network of young entrepreneurs within the city, within Toronto. And so I just knew that I would start a business again. So this was kind of just like, okay, let's go, you know, bet on yourself. Let's see what happens. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. And at least I tried, you know.
Where do you think that entrepreneurial spirit comes from? Do you have an early memory of a moment when you were like, I am not as interested, say, in a more conventional career?
Right. That's a good question. I guess it's been in my life. Like my dad has his own business. He's had many businesses. And then my aunt, the same aunt that I would garden with, Auntie Madge, she worked for the government and managed like their small business programs. So she was always encouraging us.
Love it. Love it so much. Your great-grandmother was also a big influence. Tell me about why you named your company after her, Olivee.
Yes, Granny Olivee. Well, I consider her the matriarch of our family. So she's from Saint Elizabeth in Jamaica. Just a very small, fiery woman. She had a lot of land. So it was when I went to Jamaica on a trip to grieve the passing of my Auntie Madge that I spent more time on Granny Olivee's land. I went to her gravestone. I was just like staying in Saint Elizabeth with other family there too. And I just wanted to take that feeling of being closer to ancestors or closer to people in my lineage, and how can I translate that to be back into my regular day-to-day life. So I'm like, if I'm starting something, I want it to honor the people before me and connect to the people before me.
Amazing.
So that made it top of mind.
You design beautiful floral arrangements, and I have read you're describing your style as wild but refined.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that something that's important to your aesthetic is that it's unfussy, that it's not overly polished, that it feels natural because the flowers are naturally beautiful. And yet, of course, there's so much attention to detail. And I also know that you are an expert in color design. Can you tell me about the science behind floral arrangements? Do you think of it as a science? Is there a formula for really developing an arrangement that pops, that inspires?
That's interesting. I don't see it as a science. I really see it as an art form. And I feel it's actually more spiritual. I consider it to be like an energy exchange when I'm working on an arrangement. Then I'm passing that on to somebody else. And flowers innately just can change your mood, boost your mood, help with mental health. Like it forces you to be present because it's fleeting. The beauty is so fleeting.
Yeah.
But I do see it as like a exchange, an energetic exchange. And I just tap in to myself and my abilities when I'm creating.
Wow.
I'm driven by the season. So I think that is like a key element that's important.
Yeah.
Especially in New York, I feel like we're so caught up in our day-to-day, like in the rush of the city, that we don't really look up. We don't look around.
Yeah.
You know, we're our heads in our phone.
Yes.
Always rushing.
Yeah.
So I find that it is my job to bring the earth back to people's lives, you know? Like when I'm using seasonal ingredients, it's beautiful for me that people can see them on the sidewalks growing just naturally. There's that connection, you know? I was doing a job and heading to the venue, and we used a bunch of Tree of Heaven, which is a late summer, early fall foliage. And so we were on the highway, and then I'm looking at the trees. I'm like, oh my God, there's Trees of Heaven. Wow, full circle. Yeah. It's like I've done my job when I can ground them back to the earth.
I love that. What is your creative inspiration? How do you get ideas in terms of what color combinations to make or what sizes and textures to bring together?
Yes, I love that question. I used to, every time I went to the flower market, I would be looking at the color wheel. Like I would just reference the color wheel, think about different combinations, and then go to the market and see what draws me. So If it's like right now, smokebush season just started.
Okay.
Smokebush is my favorite.
Yeah.
You can see it growing outside now. It's
Yeah.
basically, there's two different colors. There's like a greenish one and a deep red burgundy. And the leaves are small round leaves, but they have these beautiful fuzzy like hair. That's the flower. It's just this texture of fluff that's
Love
just
it.
around the leaves.
Yeah.
It dries beautifully too.
Yeah.
So something like that I'm drawn to. So I know I'm using smokebush. What would pair well with that? Looking closely at the blooms too. All flowers have their own like personality, their own language that they're speaking. So sometimes you might look and it's like a yellow flower, but if you look closely, there's like stripes of pink in it.
Yeah.
So inspecting the flower for all of its beauty.
Yeah. Ugh, so great. I just feel like I'm more joyful even hearing you describe this. Speaking of that spirituality and that energy exchange, we live in New York in the concrete jungle. Flowers seem like such a powerful antidote to that of bringing some more like flow and life into homes and apartments. Do you feel that from your clients, or is that one of the motivations, do you think, that people are hoping to achieve when they call on you?
Absolutely. I think it's so funny because in so many situations, the florist is like the last person considered.
Yeah.
Like
for what? In like,
for like
an event?
events. Yeah. So it's like if there's a huge event and you spend all this money on the venue, on the food, on the lighting, decor, oftentimes it's like, oh my God, and we need flowers. Of course we need flowers. Flowers make the event, Because flowers do transform the environment.
Yeah.
Just adding that touch of nature like really does elevate a space. So it's definitely needed, but it's so funny how many times it's kind of just like, oh my God, yeah, can you do this? So I get a lot of last minute requests.
That's so
things.
funny. Yeah.
But I think that people do realize that they do add value to a space, like they can just communicate what it is, the feeling that you want to achieve, that you want your guests to achieve when they walk in. So I did this Halloween dinner for Sam Smith. It was like a Nicole Kidman themed.
Cool.
Like just close friends.
Was she there?
She wasn't there, but there's a film called The Others.
Yeah.
And so that was the reference that they gave me for the flowers. So it's scary. I use lots of amaranthus, hanging amaranthus, crawling foliage, and deep plum flowers, dried bits, and like I was spray painting curly willow.
Do you try to convince, or do you feel like you need to advocate for the fact that, say, flowers boost your mood? Because they boost my mood, and it feels not like a coincidence.
No.
Do you think that's widely known? Is it appreciated? Do you feel like you have to educate consumers to say, you're in the dumps, things are tough, one small solution, like an antidote to that, that's like actionable, is go to the bodega and buy a bouquet?
Exactly. I think that people are starting to realize it more. I mean, it's energy from the flowers, the natural element of it. It's the colors as well, but there's scientific proof that it does boost your mood.
Yeah.
I think people started to realize this more during the pandemic, where people were working from home. People couldn't be with loved ones. Like, it was really during the pandemic that my business kind of boomed, because since we weren't able to be with each other at baby showers or engagement parties or birthday parties, then people were sending flowers to each other as that like sharing of love.
Yeah.
So I was doing deliveries constantly, and people were also subscribing for themselves. Let me have flowers in my home every week. Do you notice? For me, it's like after I clean my apartment, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I have a fresh bouquet that's on the table.
Yes. I mean, I think it's one of the most potent and achievable luxuries in life.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to get fancy flowers, and it is an investment.
Yes.
Unless you have a garden, I suppose.
Yes.
So you have to spend a little bit of money, but I feel like for bang for the buck, it's one of the most powerful ways to lift your mood, and you might not even realize.
Exactly. Yeah, and you don't have to, I tell people all the time, you don't have to get flowers from me even.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store. Go anywhere. Just go to the farmer's market, pick up a bunch. It doesn't have to be fancy. And also, I think people should just play more when they have flowers. I notice when I do design workshops with people and they're like, I'm not doing it right. everybody's doing it right. Just I'll give you tips on how to achieve certain looks, like different techniques that a florist would use. Yeah. But ultimately, you are the creator, you know? Anything you make is going to be beautiful. Flowers are innately beautiful. Yeah.
We're going to come back to that because I do want a few tips. But the word is out, or at least the word is out about you. Yes. Because you have been partnering with some of the most well-known brands across all kinds of industries: beauty, luxury, fashion, gastronomy. How are people finding out about you, and what do you think they're trying to achieve when they come ask you to collaborate?
How are people finding out? I used to ask, I'm like, how did you hear that? Because I'm like, this is crazy. I think at first it used to really just be online, Instagram. Yeah. But then now I think it's like recommendations from other clients.
Your unique style, I think the word is out.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like it's such a compliment when somebody can be like, oh, yeah, this looks like an Olivee arrangement, the fact that I'm starting to really have a clear language in my work, or that it can be recognized is that's the goal, really, and especially.
How do you describe that?
Definitely seasonally driven and coming from a color perspective, but it's always going to be unexpected. So I always want to make sure I have unexpected elements. It's going to feel like something you've never seen before. I love when people are like, oh, what is this? I've never seen this element before. I love when people start touching the flowers because we're in this space where, especially with art, like we often can't touch the art, I encourage, there's these poppy pods that I had in a recent show that I did at the Standard. And they were drying over time. The show was up, it was for Design Week, and it was up for 3 weeks. So they would dry over time, but they're just kind of squishy. There's something like, so I would tell everybody at the opening, I'm like, make sure you go and touch squeeze it a little. Like, it's fun. It should feel immersive. It should feel like I want to spark curiosity. I want to spark inspiration. Like, even back to where I get inspiration, art is really like contemporary art, going to museums, like seeing other artists' work is a huge point of inspiration for me. Walking outside is inspirational for me because it really is like, what is nature saying right now? How is certain things making me feel? Like, I notice when things are starting to grow,
What are the best ways that you find achieve the arrangements that you love the most? Is it that they give you more creative license, or is there a certain deliverable that they're trying to achieve, or a mood or a theme? Tell me how that unfolds.
I love when I just have the trust of the client and they give me a lot of creative freedom. I do love to have some parameters. Give me some type of parameters, because then I can actually start working and thinking within that. So typically, if they have a color palette that they're interested in, or if they don't have a color palette but they tell me the theme of the event, then I can tell them, okay, here's what we can do. And then the type of event, like if it's like a dinner party, okay, we can do a beautiful tablescape with different size arrangements, like at different heights, so it can feel kind of whimsical.
It's fun to think about, because even what you were saying earlier, for some people, flowers are an afterthought. But when you think about the ingredients of a really memorable, immersive experience, one could argue that flowers is at the very top of the list. There's also, I guess, lighting and music and things like that. And of course, the actual food that's being served in the program. But there are all these ingredients that go into someone coming in and being like, oh, wow, this is a gorgeous space. I'm curious, do you interplay that with these other ingredients when you're thinking of lighting, music, food, like energy levels of a space?
Yes, definitely with lighting. I love making sure I connect with the lighting person at an event, because we can work so hard on creating beautiful floral moments, but if they're not lit correctly, then we just lose the whole moment. So it's really collaborative with just the production team in general. I like just understanding for food, is it going to be family style or not family style? Because that will determine the size of arrangements that I'm making. But as a guest coming in, you're just seeing the full thing, and nobody's really paying attention. Oh, wow, that anthurium probably could have gone a little lower. Nobody's thinking that hard. So we just have to kind of just flow with it. But it does become a full package. Without the flowers, you wouldn't get that package,
What is a detail that you and your team do obsess over that you think is very important to the final result that other people may have no idea. It's like, oh, I felt joyful and happy because behind the scenes, OLIVEE did this.
I always say just mechanics in general. So you can have like strong mechanics. I call us like flower engineers sometimes. Say you have something hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
That cannot fall down. You know? So how is that being rigged? How are the flowers actually still drinking throughout the event? Because the worst thing is that everything now looks dead, droopy,
totally.
Crispy, dry. So also hiding your mechanics, like making sure that you can't see just a bunch of wire or like sandbags or whatever have you, you know? So focusing on strong mechanics is more than half of the job. Then, okay, cool. Now we add flowers to it. So I'm fine with obsessing about the mechanics because that's like safety as well. It's safety. Right. It's like reputation.
Right.
I've known of people that have set up an install, gotten a call from a client. The whole thing fell. Like, can you come?
Crazy.
That is a nightmare, you know? So
then it doesn't matter how gorgeous
anything
is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So mechanics for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. You have partnered with so many brands to really bring events to life and experiences to life. You also are doing a residency at a renowned restaurant in New York City, Tatiana. Tell me what that partnership looks like.
I'm so grateful for that partnership. The team at Tatiana, Chef Kwame, is incredible. So inspiring. Like, it really does feel like a family. So we started doing flowers right before the restaurant opened. So there's some overhead installations as well as live potted plants and some floral pops. Those live inside the dining room, and we change that over every month. So it's a new take on the design.
So the ambiance changes literally every month.
Every month, exactly. Oh, wow. And with that project too, they've had so much trust in me as well. He's also of Jamaican descent. He's Jamaican Nigerian descent. So many of the dishes on the menu at Tatiana are things that I've grown up eating.
That's amazing. So he and his team are like in the camp of this really matters and we want to pay attention to it. And so it's an intentional investment in making sure that the environment is really brought to life.
Absolutely.
And that's why they partner with you. How drastic of a mood shift implement with the flowers?
So I wanted to feel lush, like you are in a tropical environment, but against the beautiful, clean, kind of stark metal finishes of the restaurant and the fact that you're in Lincoln Center. It should feel wild yet refined in the sense that it's like edited to like fit, but it's actually sprawling in its design. Cool. So I use a lot of like hanging leaves. I get to be very playful with it, you know? And it is an immersive experience that's happening in the installation. I like my work to draw people closer, like take a closer look, you know?
Yes. I love that. We all need to get a little bit closer.
Right.
I think the internet and social media is making it feel more and more scary and awkward.
Absolutely.
I love that idea of everyone kind of huddling closer. What are you most excited about next for OLIVEE or in life?
For OLIVEE, I'm excited to start taking it on the road. Okay, so I used to be a really big traveler, but in starting my business, I haven't been able to travel as much as I would like to. I've been growing the business for the past 5 years, and it's been doing so well. I'm so grateful. But now, so what else, you know? So I'm kind of getting a bit of a travel bug and wanting to see how can I expand OLIVEE to other markets, to other areas. I've always said I want to live in Paris at some point in my life.
Oh, great.
Right?
Great idea.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, how can the brand that I built take me to new places? And that's what I'd say I'm most excited about.
How cool. I mean, I'd imagine that even just understanding the differences in flower culture would be so fascinating because I'm guessing that Parisians think about flowers differently than, say, New Yorkers.
I'm sure. I'm also interested in what is native to the different lands that I'll be visiting. I do want to spend some more time in Jamaica. Like, what are things that just grow abundantly on the land already? Finding like a sense of place, but through nature.
It's so refreshing to hear this because I feel like the Standard way that many people think about growing a business is, how do I scale as quickly as possible and reach the most people? And it almost seems like you're shifting that perspective into how do I explore more? How do I be more creative? Do you feel a tension between scaling the company in a more conventional cookie cutter way versus staying true to what the business has become to you, which feels like a very soul-nourishing, creative source of expression?
Do I feel a tension? Not necessarily, because I feel that's how I've grown the business. It was all because of curiosity, because of exploration.
Yeah.
Something that I've been really thinking about is just freedom in general. Like, what does freedom look like? And like, how does freedom show up in so many different ways while we are working, but like, how can you still work and make a living but still feel free?
Yeah.
So scaling in a traditional way does not excite me at all. I realized early on I am not interested in opening a flower shop. I think that's like the low-hanging fruit way to scale the business would be open a shop, then open another shop, then do deliveries across the country, like ship flowers. That doesn't sound like something I'm interested in. Because I think also in the beginning, when I was exploring how this could live, I became very burnt out. I was trying to do so many things and I realized I can't do all the things. My role changes. I started by designing every single thing that would go out the door, that would be delivered. And like also respond to all the emails and send out all the invoices and and then now also take photos and post on social media. It's like I can't be all of the roles. So growing the team, that would be a way to kind of scale up. But I think it's really just turning inward and thinking, well, what's most important? This is actually such an extension of who I am. And how can I be free while growing the business? And I mean, it's tough, like within the capitalistic framework to think that way.
You're speaking my language. I feel these.
That there's definitely, so I guess there is tension there because it is, I mean, bills still need to be paid, So I'm kind of just playing with that, but I want to grow in a way that's like within my capacity and still feels authentic to who I am. And I think that direction is more through an art practice rather than continuing down the path of as a commercial vendor, let's say, So I think it's just taking a lot of trust in the process, trust in myself, like trust in the fact that, I built this by using these tools. I think I can also take it to the next level by just like turning inwards and figuring it out and exploring what that can look like for my life.
I love that so much. I also think that it's so much of this process is just acknowledgement of what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I think that clearly you are introspective and thoughtful and intentional about it. And so it's not like you're chasing something for the wrong reason. You know exactly what your goals are. And I feel like that's so much of what has to do with getting you to where you want to be.
Right.
Being like in touch.
I agree. Because I think it's, if I started OLIVEE with, I want to be a famous florist. I agree. I think it's like where your intentions lie. Like I've always just wanted to make good work. I just want my work to be respected. I want to be known for my work, but I don't want to be famous in the sense that I can't go to the grocery store. That's never been in any capacity a goal of mine. But I think that, bringing it back to your personal intentions is the only way forward. And you're rewarded with that. Like the universe, like when you come closer to yourself, the universe definitely rewards you with the goals that you are trying to manifest, you know? So,
So good. So good. Sustainability is also an important thread throughout your work in your business. Where does that interest come from?
Well, I think it's just from being a person living on this earth, like responsibly trying to give back to it or live in a way that's like minimizing how much we take. The floral industry is so wasteful. It's like insane. It seems like so ironic that it would be.
It's so nature focused.
Exactly. But so many of the common practices are terrible for the environment, also just terrible for our own health. I'm just doing my best. But no foam. Like I don't use flower foam in my arrangements or installations, anything. And so foam is one of the mechanics that is the go-to things for florists. It's bricks of green styrofoam that you soak in water, and then you can zip tie them to something and stick a bunch of flowers in them.
Yeah.
And so they continue to hydrate the flowers throughout the event. Easy does it,
Yeah.
But the particles that come off of the foam, we're inhaling, and that's like actually terrible for our respiratory system. So it's harmful to our health.
Oh.
But then they never they don't compost, like they don't break down. So afterwards, it just becomes like more landfill. It's just more waste. And to think about big installations, like how many bricks of foam are used just for one event, you can go through cases of it. So we don't do that. That's like an easy one for me. Is no, there's so many other ways.
Yeah.
And then I also compost all of the materials, like all of the waste that I have after an event. Then we'll compost the flowers that can't be salvaged. Anything with strong pigments, I donate or give to artists who use botanicals to create natural dyes.
Oh, wow.
There's so many ways to give flowers another life. And I think that just goes back into my own personal ethos of just how I want to move through the world.
Oh, so great.
Yeah.
So I would love to learn from you a little bit about how I can have more beautiful floral arrangements and how my flowers can last a little longer. I have a few rapid fire questions.
Okay.
First, potted versus cut.
I'm a florist. I love cut flowers. I'm sorry. I think I have a lot of plants, like potted plants in my apartment.
Yeah.
Crazy amount of plants. But really, it's like we are really getting to experience like the big, beautiful moment that this flower has worked all of its life for. And we can experience it and enjoy it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then compost it. I think it's just kind of part of the cycle. I love that. I love the ethereal nature of that work.
Yeah. As a reminder that one should really appreciate the present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It grounds you, brings you right down to the present for sure.
There are many places to source fresh cut flowers. So there are e-commerce businesses that deliver, grocery stores, bodegas, florists. Is there something that we should know when we're deciding where to source our flowers, to buy our flowers, that you have an opinion on in terms of, say, freshness or selection or seasonality?
I think local flowers, so going to the farmer's market, and then that's all seasonal. So it's like just fun to get like a nice bunch.
Okay. What should we think of? 3 things we should think of when we're standing at the farmer's market or at, the flower section in a grocery store to choose flowers. Do we just grab the prearranged bouquet, or for have the ability to pick a few, what should we look out for?
I would say 3 types of blooms and a foliage if you're going to make your own arrangement.
Yeah.
So you want a flower that kind of is like a line flower. Typically, they have like multi-blooms on them, and they have like interesting gesture. I think those are always just add like a nice shape to your arrangement.
Okay. Is a line one, does that mean it's tall?
It's like usually taller, like thinking like delphinium or snapdragons, foxgloves. Yeah, just kind of, they add a nice like shape and gesture to your arrangement. I would say like a focal flower. A focal flower is just something that stands out. So like this peony for the shape and the color, like it could be a shape or a color that stands out most from the focal flower, or size. Shape, color, or size could be something that makes it a focal.
Okay.
And then filler. So a filler flower, I like to make sure I have like a flower that has a center, like the circle centers,
like a daisy.
Yes. Exactly. And a flower that has like ruffle, like no center. I like
the rose.
Exactly. So like my rose could be my focal, and then the daisy, if they have like a bunch of small daisies, can be a nice filler.
Yeah.
And then I have a nice line flower, because it's like I think those are just like key elements to look for to make your bouquet feel complete or cohesive or just built out, you know? So you're not getting flowers that all look the same.
Yeah. How interesting. What is the mood shift then that I should expect if a dozen roses versus a composed bouquet with the 3 types of flowers you just mentioned?
I think the fresh flowers alone
is
going to,
there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. I think that a dozen roses can feel really kind of chic or romantic. So maybe you'll have those kind of feelings too.
Yeah.
And daisies kind of feel playful to me, lighthearted, kind of summertime. But either way, you will get a boost in mood.
Amazing. How do I make my flowers last as long as possible?
Okay, so flowers die because of bacteria.
Okay.
The water's getting dirty. The vase was dirty. So you want to make sure all of your tools, your vessels are clean.
Yeah.
Then put some fresh cold water. Change that water every other day.
Okay.
If you can change the water every other day, you're going to see such a huge difference in the life of your flowers.
Yeah.
And if you can trim the stem. So when you first put them in water, you want to trim all your stems at a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
Every other day when you change the water, give it a little fresh trim so that they are drinking in more clean water. And that definitely goes a long way.
I don't know where I picked this up, but I feel like I started to put ice cubes in the vase.
Okay.
Am I doing something right?
That sounds great. You should use cool, cold water. So ice cubes, perfect. Don't, as much as it seems like, they need light, don't put the flowers in the windowsill because the sun, like when they get warm, they open faster. So the sun will just kind of speed up the lifespan.
Yeah.
And don't put it close to ripening fruit. Because similarly, there's something's released from the fruit that speeds up the life of the flowers.
Interesting.
So those tips. That's why we have flower coolers. So if I design for an event the night before, everything goes into the cooler overnight so that it's like optimal, like it stops the process, you know? So it just holds that lifespan.
Final question. What do you do to pamper yourself other than to surround yourself with beautiful flowers every day?
Yeah, I know. I'm so grateful that this is actually what I could do for work. Like collaborating with nature. And I like to just make sure I'm outside. So like biking. I bike everywhere, really. And bubble baths.
Oh my gosh. I cannot remember the last time I did that. Right. So like, do you get it all foamy and sudsy or whatever?
The whole situation. I light a candle. Fun. I'm playing music. I have my book. I'm having a time. And I make sure I don't have my phone near me. Nobody should be talking to me during my bath time.
Love that. Writing that one down.
Yeah.
Amazing. Karla, this has been so fun, especially because the last time we officially collaborated was when we were colleagues at Milk Bar, which I think for both of us was a very different life chapter where we were doing very different things. And it's really amazing to fast forward and see you having built this business from scratch in a space that is truly coming from your creative kind of soul and bringing to life these everyday just objects in nature that can bring us all so much daily joy, whether it's on a podcast table or whether it is at some luxurious special occasion event. And I think seeing you truly pursue an outlet for your own creative expression and then turn that into a business and to grow that in the most authentic, organic way is really inspiring. So thank you so much for sitting down with me. Where can we find you and keep in touch?
Yes. Thank you for having me. You can follow on Instagram, OLIVEE Floral, OLIVEE Floral, or my website, oliveefloral.com. Yep. If you're in the New York area, then definitely come grab a bouquet, say hi in real life.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and let's stay connected, so subscribe for updates.